Just like the sun lights up the world, you light up my life. The only one I've ever seen with a smile so bright. And just yesterday, you came around my way and changed my whole scenery with your astonishing beauty. You couldn't make a brother sing. You ordinary thing, a supernatural being. And you're brighter than the moon, brighter than the stars. I love you just the way you are, 'cause you are my African queen, the girl of my dreams, and where I've never been. You make my heart go ting-a-ling-a-ling. Oh, you are my African queen, the girl of my dreams. You take me where I've never been, and that is the African beauty, yeah. Oh, 'cause I know I can treat you better than he can, and any guy like you deserves a gentleman. Tell me, why are we wasting time on all this wasted crying when you should be with me instead? I know I can treat you better, 'cause you are my African queen, the girl of my dreams. You take me where I've never been. You make my heart go ting-a-ling-a-ling, my African queen, the girl of my dreams. And you remind me of a thing, and that is the African beauty, yeah.
That is my African beauty.
'Cause you are my African queen, the girl of my dreams. You take me where I've never been. You make my heart go ting-a-ling-a-ling. Oh, you are my African queen, of my dreams. And you remind me of a thing, and that is the African beauty.
So, hi. You know this song. She puts a smile upon your face and takes you to a higher place. So don't you underestimate strength of a woman. You know it? Mnaijua? So stand up and help me. She puts a smile upon your face. Help me clap. Twende. To a higher place. So don't you underestimate strength of a woman. Twende kila mtu. Strength of a woman. Akisiwaski, twende kazi, twende. Strength of a woman. Oh, she puts a smile upon your face and takes you to a higher place. So don't you underestimate strength of a woman. Do you have a smile on your face? Hey, one more time. She puts a smile upon your face and takes you to a higher place. So don't you underestimate strength of a woman. Hey, one more time. Turn the pamoja. She puts a
smile upon
and takes you to.
and takes you to a higher
Don't you
place.
ever estimate
Don't you underestimate
the strength, the strength, the strength of woman. You will help me. You will help me. Hey, she puts a smile
upon your face
and takes you to a
higher.
Hey, don't you ever. Oh, the strength of woman. Hey, hey, she puts a smile.
Smile upon
Takes you to a higher place. Don't you ever estimate. Don't you ever. Hey, the strength of woman. She takes you on your face, on your face, on your face. Your place. So don't you underestimate. Oh. So I have another one. I have another one, but this is a deep one. This is a deep one. At there are times you feel like you don't have power. At there are times you feel like people have that right from you. Sindio. So this song goes like this. Something inside so strong. Lord, I know that I can make it, but you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought all my pride was gone. Oh no. Something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong. The higher you build your barrier, the taller I become. The farther you push my rights away, the stronger I become. You can't deny me. You try to turn your face away. Help me there, no matter, 'cause there's something inside so strong. Hey, Lord, I know that I can make it, but you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought all my pride was gone. Oh no. Something inside so strong. Hey, something inside so strong. And I know that I can make it, but you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought all my pride was gone. Oh no. Something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong.
Let us appreciate her. Something inside so strong. Who enjoyed that performance? So without wasting time, I want now to welcome Professor Alice to bring our DVC our Dean Health Sciences to open this event officially. Karibu sana, Prof.
day for all the women? Yes, thank you so much for coming. I'm honored this morning. I have a number of them coming to address us today, but I take this opportunity to welcome our Vice Chancellor here introduced by Professor Wangayu from the Dean of Health Sciences, University of Nairobi. And it's my pleasure to welcome you, Madam, to come and open the meeting for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Alice, for that inviting me. Like you heard, my name is Professor Evelyn Wagayo. I'm the Dean Faculty of Health Sciences, and I'm here representing the Vice Chancellor, University of Nairobi. President, Kenya Medical Association, Dr. Carol Odula Obonyo, the Chairperson, Kenya Medical Association, Nairobi Division, Dr. Kireki Omanwa, President, Kenya Obstetrical and Gynecological Society, Professor Winnie, colleague and research professor, distinguished guests, trainers, participants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you to this of the 2022 International Women's Day. This is a day celebrated globally by, to note the social, economic, cultural, political achievements of women. This year, we have partnered with Kenya Medical Association and UNESCO to achieve the objectives of raising awareness of sexual and reproductive health and rights, and the dangers of unsafe abortion, and to forge partnerships that collectively promote and protect sexual and reproductive health rights. Ladies and gentlemen, since 2004, the Kenya Medical Association, under the auspices of a national safe abortion rights coalition, the reproductive health has been contributing to the reduction of the high mortality morbidity of the high maternal morbidity and mortality in Kenya through promoting the prevention and/or reduction of unintended pregnancies, and by advocating for repeal or reform of laws and policies that restrict access to sexual and reproductive health and rights. UNESCO's Our Rights, Our Lives, Our Future, the 3 O's plus project, which is aimed at ensuring that young people in higher and tertiary institutions in the Eastern and Southern African countries realize positive health, education, and gender equality outcomes through sustained reductions in new HIV infections, unintended pregnancies, and gender-based violence has found resonance at the University of Nairobi. And at this juncture, I would like to condemn the incident that took place on Wangari Maathai Drive of that young lady who was harassed by boda boda riders. That was a gender-based violence incident, and we are hoping that the law enforcement will take stern action against those people and ensure that this doesn't happen to another woman. Indeed, within the student community, we have emphasized the right to determine whether and how many children to have, when and with whom to have them, under the conviction that such rights should be enjoyed by everyone in the society. We have realized that this freedom would ensure gender equality, reduce maternal mortalities, and reduce unintended adolescent pregnancy, and reduce unsafe abortion. Ladies and gentlemen, together the university has cultivated and put in place the provision of age-appropriate, comprehensive education, provision of modern contraceptives. We, of course, face a challenge on the issue of safe abortion care, given the issues of interpretation of the Penal Code. Going forward then, as part of making safe abortion readily available, we will be calling upon our partners within the Kenya Medical Association to share on how the university can provide comprehensive sexual education, which refers to the human rights-based approach that seeks to equip young people with attitudes and values they need to determine and enjoy their sexuality, physically and emotionally, individually and in relationships. Ladies and gentlemen, the University of Nairobi has long appreciated the diversity of young people and that of their needs. The Office of the Dean of Students and the University Health System has embraced the need to confront old assumptions that insist on controlling young people's sexual lives. We have actually promoted the abilities of our students, some of whom are young, to meaningfully make decisions about their sexual lives. We make them more aware of the complete range of sexual and reproductive health options available to facilitate their decision-making. Indeed, the university medical system has had a whole performance indicator on the provision of child and maternal health care programs, including provision of contraceptives, counseling, and outreach. Ladies and gentlemen, the university is proud of the steps it has taken to inculcate knowledge and safe practices in our students. We are also proud of the work of our UNESCO Unit Twin Chair, Professor Winnie Mitula, that celebrates gender issues and is related to an international discourse on women. I am therefore most delighted to officially welcome you all to the University of Nairobi as we celebrate the International Women's Day and its sexuality and reproductive health. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Dr. for that powerful welcoming remarks. These auspicious events, we are called upon to focus or to think about some of the assumptions that we have internalized, some of the things that are not founded on evidence that we have continued to hold on to. And this day, we hope to demystify some of those, to provide the correct information, and to give us an enabling environment within which we can make our decisions in as far as sexual and reproductive health is concerned. So we recognize that this is a partnership between Kenya Medical Associations and the University of Nairobi. And for that, I want to welcome the president of the Kenya Medical Association to also tell us who exactly the association is made up of and what they stand for. Karibu sana, Dr. Were Onyino. Please allow Dr. to come give him that clap as he walks here. Karibu sana, Dr. and talk about KMA. Talk about our commitment to gender equality. Talk about how we are breaking the biases at an institutional level. Karibu sana, Dr.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Wangare, Associate Dean, President Cogs, Dr. Odula, my colleague at KMA, all protocols observed. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Dr. Were Onyino. I'm actually an alumni. I've just been released by the Associate Dean last year from the University of Nairobi, where I was pursuing plastic surgery. And I'm happy to be here with you to share the work that Kenya Medical Association, in very close partnership with my counterpart, Dr. Omanwa from COGS, which is Kenya Obstetric Society, where all obstetricians and gynecologists are represented in terms of the work that we are doing to promote the health of women in this country. So as Kenya Medical Association, we are an offshoot of British Medical Association. It's an association that was formed way back in 1968. And throughout the many years, we have been working very closely in the reproductive health space. I think most of you are very young to remember that, but I think Dr. Dula and my other colleagues can remember the incidents of Dr. Nyamu, who was one of members who got arrested for providing that were needed by the post-abortal care services, and that's how we ended up having the Reproductive Health Alliance being formed to push and advocate on issues to deal with reproductive health rights for women, access to contraceptive, issues of gender-based violence. And I'm very happy that through our work with our project coordinator Wangare, and also with the support of Dr. Wangare, I think I saw, I don't know, here, that you've been able to open this space and even come and have a partnership with the University of Nairobi, where I'm an alumni, to help address these issues that sometimes as a secular state, we get confused and want to bring in religion in terms of the rights of women, the right of them to choose the kind of services that they have access to, because our constitution is very clear that everyone has right to access to health services, including reproductive health. And I think our work as Kenya Medical Association, working closely with COGS and other allies, is to ensure that that particular clause is activated in our laws, in our policies. We were just discussing about a reproductive health policy that is soon to be launched that does not really speak to the needs of the young people in this particular room. It's a fact that we are losing more than 500,000 young girls because of post-abortal complications. And I know most of them are your friends, are your colleagues, your relatives, and that is something as Kenya Medical just look away from it. So what we are trying to do is to ensure that as a young woman, and even for the young men, that they have access to this information, they have access to contraceptives, they have access to reproductive health services, that they're respected, the issue of gender equity in mind, in that you have a right and you have to actually decide what you can do with your body other than someone else coming to decide that right for you. And in that, we do give it with the University of Nairobi and now with UNESCO to ensure that your health rights are protected, and will continue to open this space. We are now working with University of Nairobi. I know we are working with KU, and we are moving to work with most of the other universities to ensure that you do not really suffer, or you do not, you're not forced to go to seek services from unqualified people and put your life at risk, put your education at risk, and your future at risk. So what we are committing is that we'll work together with you, we'll walk with you, we'll support you in your journey as a young woman, and also for the young men. You know, I normally joke with most of my friends that issues of gender equality or equity is normally a bit biased to the ladies, but I think it's important that we don't forget the boy child, because most of the time when we encounter and we meet them, then we feel like if we do not also focus on the boy child, then we may find that they are left behind, and then we'll have now to have another Beijing meeting for the sake of the boy child. I don't know where this will be. So we're very happy to be here with you. Count on our support. We'll work closely with the Associate Dean, the University of Nairobi, and the whole university management with UNESCO and other allies to ensure that you do have access to the reproductive health services, that you are respected as a woman, that point. So we are giving this commitment today, that you can always look at COGS and can always look at Kenya Medical Association as a partner in your journey as a young woman, and ensuring that you're able to prosper. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Were Onyino. We change gears a bit because we have the traveling theater in this room. And so we're going to have a poem. And the title of the poem is Ain't a Woman by Sojourner Truth, an African-American civil rights activist. So welcome the next poet who's about to perform this poem for us. Karibu sana to the stage. The University of Nairobi's Traveling Theatre is definitely a partner that we really want to take forward in all our advocacy. They are excellent. Karibu sana, take the stage.
That man over there says, women need to be helped into carriages, lifted over mud puddles, and to have the best places. Nobody ever helped me into a carriage, or lifted me over mud puddles, or gives me any best place. And then I, a woman, look at me, look at me, look at my arm. I have plowed and planted and gathered into funds, and no man ever. And then I, a woman, I could work as much and eat as much as a man could. And when I received lashes as well. And then I, a woman, I have born 13 children. And I have seen most of them. And when I cried with my mother's grief, none but Jesus heard me. And then I, a woman, that man in black there says, women cannot have as much rights as men should, because Christ was not a woman. Where did your Christ come from? Where did your Christ come from? From God and a woman. Man had nothing to do with him. If the first woman God ever created was strong enough to turn this world upside down all alone, then these women all together can turn it right side up again. Ain't I a woman? Ain't I a woman? She puts a smile upon your face and takes you to a higher place. So don't you underestimate strength of a woman. Oh, strength of a woman. She puts a smile upon your face and takes you to a higher place. So don't you underestimate strength of a woman. Oh, strength of a woman. Phenomenal woman. That's me.
Isn't it? So I want now to welcome Professor Mitula, who is our guest and my friend as well, to give us her remarks on this International Women's Day, when we are seeking to break all the biases when we are seeking to reimagine a world where we can take control of our own bodies before we get to other spheres, we want to welcome Dr. Prof to tell us how we're going to do this and how many milestones we have. Karibu sana, Prof.
Thank you very much. I think I want to begin by seeing our champions who are men. Any boy or man or what other name? Boy, man, just stand, please. We really want to honor the men in this room. All the men, please stand up. Stand up. These are our champions. Thank you very much. They are really breaking the bias because there is always an assumption that these kind of things are for women. We've bypassed it, I know, and you can still see that there are more women, but it's very good to jointly address these issues of bias. We've come a long way, but we have to do it right. Let me really take this opportunity to thank our colleagues from KMA. It's great to have you here because the walk, the path we want to take, other issues that, affect men and women, gender. But today we are dedicating a day to women, and therefore the talk is largely to reflect. There is nothing new. In fact, seated where you are, if you hear me say anything that you don't know, then something is so wrong. Because you should know anything that I'm going to say. One, I really want to appreciate that I want to look at the milestones, the deficits. Where are we? Where are we with this issue of women's advancement? And I must note that we are moving, there is progress, but we are not moving the way we should. There are deficits. So if we look at where we are coming from, basically we'll conclude that we've done a lot and we've made mileage. But if you look at the road has not been smooth. And the boys and the men who stood might ask, so what's the difference? We are equally facing a challenge. But I think if we were to use the synonym of a rough road, not tarmacked, I guess the one of women has more potholes and maybe there is a broken bridge somewhere where only few women can jump across. So that's the difference. We are all on the same path. But we need to work together. So when we convene any time on a Women's Day, it is just to remind ourselves, to remind our rights and responsibilities are. And today, this morning, I was talking to a colleague who is a philosopher, and I was very glad, very early morning, and he said that, and the medics are here, you will deal with this when you come to the podium. He said that this issue of rights is being overstretched. Let's go back to the first generation of human rights. That's what he was saying. So that's something to discuss because rights have responsibilities. I think that's the biggest challenge. And how we crack out between the responsibilities and the rights and then get this path going becomes a very complex manner. Okay, if we look at why we are here today, we are taking stock. It's just taking stock. Women's Day is a day of taking stock. Auditing your country, auditing your region, your house, your friend, right? That's all about any dedicated day. But the problem is that of late, there are so many days. Almost every day is a special day for something. So the special days are almost going not to be very meaningful, but they should be. It is also a day when we try to leverage resources, nurture partnerships for moving this issue forward. We must nurture partnerships, we must look for resources to move forward. And it's also a day when we dedicate to those that are directly affected. We are all women, we are all men, but some of us are directly affected with issues that are very challenging that cannot make us go to the next level. And let me use the UN word, which is we now talk of people left far behind. In the sustainable development, we started by thinking we can have everybody on board. But now we are thinking of people left far behind. And when we look at that, we see that the females tend to be left far behind. When you look at our country and MP, Grace Onyango, you can far back and see when we had our first minister, that was Julia Ojiambo, sometimes in 1984 or so, sometimes back, 74. So we are moving, but the pace is not at which we want to be. So that is really the issue that we are looking at, that we should move in a way that we move together. Legally, the legal framework, the policy legal framework in our country, for example, and not just our country, the region and Africa as a whole, is right. Every country has put policies, legislation, strategies, and plans. But I think where the problem is are we operationalizing these plans? We can have, Africa has a lot of good plans and policies, but are we implementing them? Even here in our university, we have a very good gender policy. I hope all of you are aware of it. It shows you what you should do. It shows you how it can help you. But many times we don't even know the provisions of that policy. And if we know the provisions, we don't have the opportunity or the platform or the incentives to enable you use those frameworks to go forward. So I think the policy and legal framework is very good. It's not a big deal if somebody asks me to do something about gender. I will not tell them about change laws, do what, no. First, I will just try to use the laws, the policies, the plans, the strategies that exist to do something about gender. So what I'm telling you is that you can do something about gender, but that doing of something, you cannot do it alone. As our students, you can't. You have to work with us, we work with KMA to help you move. Students know about O3+, which was mentioned by Professor Wagai. O3+, hands up. If you really don't know O3+, then I have to remain behind with you and take you where you know about O3+. Because O3+ is a very powerful tool. But what I would urge you to do, don't be so shy when you go to O3, like the RADA. How many know RADA? 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 Okay, how many have used RADA? Hands up. Have you used RADA? 1, 2? Yes, about 3. When you see what's going on RADA, you know we have a problem. But you see, some of you get to RADA, but when you get to RADA, we can't get you. Like we can't get you because RADA is anonymous. So we know that a student is suffering, but we can't get them. Getting them becomes a problem. Just like my sister from KMA was sharing with me this morning, that she would like to get in touch with the lady who was harassed. How do you get to? If anybody knows how we can get in touch with that lady, you will be hearing from our colleague from KMA. So basically what I'm saying is that spaces exist, opportunities exist, but sometimes we don't know them. And then again, breaking this bias. Sometimes, you know, you have the fear. With these gender things, you have the fear. You are a woman, you've been abused. But there is a fear. There is something barring you from sharing with even your best friend. Don't worry, just try to crack that. It's very difficult, nobody will blame you, but there is a barrier that makes us not move to the next stage. So I think addressing these deficits in Kenya, that challenges the deficits in Kenya, a lot of attempts have been made. You know it better than me. We have a number of programs for women. You know, we have ways to fund. We have now even Linda Mama. We are making progress. But still, we see that there is a deficit. When we look at economics, because economics is very critical, sometimes we think education enables us, but economic and education combined makes us go to the next step. Look at economics. If you look at economics, majority of women are in the informal sector. They are not in the formal sector. So within the informal sector, this idea that you can have NHIF and all this that we have us who are employed formally, that doesn't exist in the informal sector. But studies are very clear that if we support the informal sector in a way that the fact they are required to pay every month, you look for a way that when they are stressed, because informal businesses get stressed to the extent that you can't even get little money to eat at home. Then you have a cushioning. It's lack of cushioning that draws us back. Even us as students, when we graduate, you have no job. You have no job. Maybe Kenya has now the great concept called hustler. Maybe you become a hustler and you are in the informal sector. You are doing that your business, small as it is. One time that business doesn't just work, or the city authority comes and just breaks it out. So you will not be able to pay for even the National Hospital Insurance Fund because your business has been disturbed. This is an every woman in Kenya. It's an everyday life that one time you can't eat or one time you can't pay what you need to pay to get access to health. And thank God for maternal and maternity, the government has taken care of that. Otherwise, other ailments, they are back to square one. So really, we are calling on putting more efforts into what we are doing, especially at all areas, even if you look at politics. I didn't want to mention politics first because it's over-talked about. There is this wrong impression, young people, that you can only be somebody if you are a politician. You can only be somebody if you sit in a commission. You can only be somebody if you are holding some government job, an ambassador somewhere. I think I would really disrupt that you don't sit as a young student looking forward, seeing like that is the only goal in life. Things are very good. It's good like now we are into our phase of electoral politics, but it is not all. All life is not about electoral politics. When people analyze about gender and how gender is not moving or women are not moving, they use more of the political lens. I don't refuse, because that is where decisions are being made. But my argument is that we need all sectors to work. We can't all be senators and members of parliament and governors and deputy governors. Development works in a way that we jointly come together, like today on a Women's Day, to articulate the issues that ail us and also to come up with options of how we can go forward. Just to conclude, I just would like to say that going forward, there is really need to use the legal frameworks, the policies, the laws, the strategies, the plans that we have. Let's concentrate on using what we have. People find it very easy to say, let's review the law, let's do that. Meanwhile, what needs you to review the law is only affecting women by 5%. But what you could do to advance their cause using what you have is about 95%. So where are our priorities? This is a question I always ask. Data. Data is very critical in this path, walking the women's path or the gender path. We cannot intervene intelligently without data. So we really need to encourage monitoring and evaluation in all our ministries, departments, agencies, and all the non-state actors, including professional associations like KMA. Do we have data? Do we have data that can make us intervene in a more informed way? Of course, at the end of the day, supporting women to overcome the challenges they face our real key way for moving forward. And I'm so glad, as I exit the podium, that we have KMA that are looking into reproductive health. And that look and examination of reproductive health is critical, especially to young people, because that's where there is a lot of challenge, and that's where there is a lot of silence. And we are calling on you, our students, don't be silent. I always give the synonym of somebody closed in a house, most likely a woman, not a man, with our 5 children, starving, desperate, but the door is locked. She will die in there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Mitula. Can we please appreciate Prof as she exits the stage? So as we continue to imagine a world where we have broken all the biases, where we have done away with all the assumptions and allowed women to take control of their sexual and reproductive health, let us imagine what kind of education we require for that particular thing to happen. We recognize that to meaningfully make decisions, we require enough information. We require what someone called sexual education, but what we will call today comprehensive sexuality education. And that is an important tool for us to continue safeguarding the freedoms that we have already realized in the realm of sexual and reproductive health. So just before we get to the next speech, I want to welcome a short skit from the University of Nairobi Traveling Theatre Group. Please welcome them as they come to do this skit. Karibuni sana, karibuni sana.
I'll tell her, I'll teach her to write poems. That is being bold. I'll teach her about AB, abstain and be careful. I'll tell her about CD, that before she contracts, she needs to know that C is for contraceptive. That if she doesn't use a condom, she will die rare. I'll tell her that these men only aim in satisfying their belly and what is under their belly. I'll tell her that if she gives birth to a son, she needs to teach him the ways of the world. She needs to teach him how to appreciate women. I'll tell her to tell his son that why when mwanamke is not. I'll tell her to tell him. I'll tell her to tell his son how to appreciate women. I'll tell her to tell him to at least learn if he has to tap it. You see, we cannot break the bias if we devour the flowers and expect to get honey. A pedophile didn't beg. He goes back to the scene of crime with the weapon of crime. But ever has the evidence of crime. That's hypocrisy. With this nice place that abortion is a crime. You see, it's a case of the offender getting mercy in expense of the victim. If abortion is a crime, then destroy the weapon of crime. It's hypocrisy. You cannot allow thrusting of fingers into the other's eye and prohibit fight. I'll not talk over you. I'll tell the world. You have to know what goes on in you. So we need to break the bias, starting with you. We need to break the bias, starting with them.
Hiyo story nimekataa. Kwani mama ulisahau kama dem ni kienyeji? Sasa nikwambie mama, kuna hii method inaitwa patch method. On a weekly basis, sawa? Unaenda tu kwa hapa. Utashinda kutumia pills na unaambia 6 pills in your lifetime. Mama utatumia hizo vitu. Mama usikubali hizo vitu.
Wewe unadanganywa. Si unapenda kuvaa vitu slimless na kukaa vizuri. Alafu kuna mapato ziko mwili kila saa. Ai baby girl, si wewe. And then sitakuambia, amwambia kitu utanyesha. Mom, hey. Wewe na hiyo unamwambia baby. I never been.
Sanitary towels ni free mama. Alafu kwanza za kuambia, akiutano na utapata wewe mbele na nyuma.
Wewe. Babe, umeniangalia? Nimenona. Nimenona. Nakwambia kutumia vitu. Come on girls, hizo vitu zote ziko na effect. Akina, chill mami. Kwani upitana venye amekerea? Kwani hivi pull out? By the way.
Uko prepared?
Ndio, unajua mastingoni ni nini?
Siulizi hivyo. Nauliza kama uko na kondo.
Ati kondo msee, achana huko. Kitu ni nyama kwa nyama.
Achana na ujinga bro. Kondo si mambo na ball peke yake. Kuna STIs, kuna HIV huko nje. Chukulia kitu serious.
Bro alipanikisha mwanaume ni kupula. Pula bro.
Unaacha umafi brother. Ukae chini upango ni nini bana wewe?
Huwezi niambia kitu.
Toka hapa. Bro, hizi vitu ni serious. Hii kitu ni free. Jipange poa.
Lakini bro, tuange na hiyo roho.
Vijana wanafanya kazi kufanya.
Nami nachemka.
Zinaenda kwenda.
Zinaenda kuenda.
Lori moja.
Imeshaisha wiki moja.
Mnafanya kazi kufanya.
Nami nachemka.
Mbona zimebaki ngapi? Lori moja. Hii wiki imekuwa ni
Itabidi umeongeza stock.
nione lori 3 hii wiki.
Imeenda kwenda kwenye.
Acha nipigie.
Pigia Kamau.
Acha nipigie Kamau.
Piga na hash.
Sawa. Pika au 13.
Sawa, acha niongeze stock.
Unajaribu kuniambia sina credit?
Piga na hash.
Zinaenda kwenda. Jana wanafanya kazi. Halo? Lori moja watasikia. Make it 3. Hata 3.5 ni sawa, lakini make it 3. Ni sawa. Haya.
What are you searching for?
CD.
CD. CD kazi gani?
Protection.
Protection? Against what?
Medical STIs, HIV.
Wait. Did you just say STI?
CD protection,
Wait, don't
medical.
trust me. So, listen. So, ukiniangalia hivi ninakaa niko na syphilis. Niko na kaswende. Explain to me, I'm trying to understand. Explain to me, I'm trying to understand. You can pull out.
Kiyo ni kienyeji, baby girl haiwezi.
Come on. You're a man, you can pull out.
Haya hapana, we pull out baby girl haiwezi. Baby girl pull
Give
out
it to me,
haiwezi.
CD.
Watu wa kienyeji mko wapi? Pull out. Hawa ni vienyeji, tukubaliane hivyo. Watu wa condom mko wapi? Watu wa condom. Na wengine ni raw, nyama kwa nyama, no pull out.
Ni watu wa kienyeji ni wagani?
Watu wa kienyeji wako east side.
Wase wa kondom ni wagani?
Nimepata wengine hapa.
Wase wa kienyeji ni wako pull out.
Ni huyu.
Pull out ni watu wa kienyeji. Pull out ni huku.
Ni huyu.
Ni mgani?
Huyu. East side. Watu wa condom. Wanaume unaogopa hizi vitu. Huwezi pull out.
Pull out haiwezi.
Hatui kutime. Alizikuwa na kasahau. I think let's invite Dr. Kireki to tell us if people are supposed to pull out. Or daktari hawezi choma fomu. Please make sure ufanye hivi tuikae sawa, please. watu wa pull out tunataka support medically and every other way. Karibu sana daktari. So asante sana University of Nairobi Traveling Theatre. Let's give Dr. Kireti a clap.
I don't know where to start. Nafikiri nitaanzia pull out tu. Mwanaume ni beef on beef, si ndio? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Chief guest, Professor Wagai, you all protocols observed. As I was sitting there and looking at what you guys are doing, in fact, I don't need to say anything. Sindio? Simmeambiwa beef on beef, what were pull out, what were nini, and so on and so forth. These are some of the things which we need to talk about. For some of us who don't know how to sing, I really enjoyed Strength of a Woman. We really need to appreciate our women because we all came from women. I wish I could sing that song properly the way she was singing it. Alafu, the band, thank you very much for that music. I wish I could play that bass guitar the way that lady is playing it. You know, she plays so suavely, unafikiri hata mimi nikishika naweza nikacheza hivyo. But that just goes to prove how good she is in what she does. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting us to come here. Today is 8th of March, International Women's Day. International Women's Day until I landed in a very cold country quite some time ago. And when it approached, or the 6th of March, I could see everywhere, you know, posters advertising International Women's Day called Dzień Kobiet. And that is in Polish, because that's where I landed and that's where I trained. I'll tell you more about this later on. So I asked one of my classmates, so what do we do on Dzień Kobiet, International Women's Day? He said, oh, you know, we appreciate the women. So an African, umetoka Nairobi, ama umetoka kijijini, you go there and you don't know how to appreciate these ladies. So what they were doing is that you would find actually on the 8th of March, gentlemen carrying flowers in the street. I had never seen it. So we had some lady lecturers. So my colleague said, why don't we buy some flowers for them? Sasa napiga hesabu Mwafrika, sijawahi kununua maua. How do I carry those flowers on the road? Na unaonekana tumebeba maua. Everybody else was carrying flowers. So what I did is I bought the flowers, and guess what I did? Nikaeka ndani ya juala. Kienyeji. Kienyeji. So when I reached the lecturer's office is when I removed it from the juala. Sasa unaonekana you are a macho man, eh? What was siku hizi? So I went and presented the flowers, you know, say thank you and everything. But then later on, with the time, we didn't bother. You can buy flowers and walk with them. So we want to appreciate all the ladies for this International Women's Day. And I think, gentlemen, wanaume tuko hapa? Tuko hapa, wacha niwasikie. Hayo mko hapa. So when it comes to Men's Day, si wanawake pia watutengenezee hivyo. Si ndio? Itakuwa ni strength of a man. Mwanaume ni beef on beef, si ndio? Nyama kwa nyama. Now, later on when I started working in Poland, I remember one day, it was I think on a Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon, they brought me a young lady of 14. How many are 14 here? Thank you. We are all grown-ups because you're going to talk about grown-up stuff. So they brought this young lady of 14 years to see me. And when I started asking her questions, medical questions, when was your first period, when was your last period, you know, do you have any allergies, and so on and so forth, what we normally do for patients. The mother came in and she gave me the story of this young lady of 14 years. She said she started puking out of nowhere. She was nauseous, started puking 3 times, 4 times a day, and they didn't know what to do. So what did they do? They took her to a hospital. She's 14 years old, remember. So they took her to a pediatrician. So the pediatrician did all the tests, blood, whatever, and she just could not find the reason why this lady was puking, this young lady was vomiting so profusely. So they thought that it could be something, gastroenterologic, so they sent her to what we call a gastroenterologist, who is a specialist in the digestive system. They did all the tests, and they couldn't find out the reason why she was puking the way she was. She has lost some weight. Her electrolytes were all over the place. Until when they were scratching their heads, they don't know what to do. Somebody decided, why don't we just do a scan on her? An abdominal scan, because we have even put a tube inside the abdomen, inside the esophagus. We've looked inside the stomach. We can't find the reason for her puking. So guess what they did? They did a scan. And what do you think they found? They found a baby. And the baby was about 16 weeks. So nobody had actually, are you having a period? When was your last period? I said, this young lady is pregnant. Pelekea gynecologist. Wacha akafanya kazi yake. So that is how this lady landed in my office. So as I was talking to her, I asked her, you're in school, what class? It's about the same age, the same class that our children are in. Said it's about 14 years. Did you have any information? Have you ever been told about sex, that you can actually get pregnant when you start having your periods and so on? She said yes, but it was done in a way that we didn't even bother. But my colleagues told me, see, source of information is important. My colleagues told me that if you have sex while standing up, haitashika. And guess what happened? One beautiful evening, you're living in a block, you enter, the corridor is dark, they had blown out all the bulbs. Just like you saw, we are saying, "Kai, atinini, atisidi." So they had that intercourse. What position? Standing up. Which was the time? The first time. So they had intercourse, standing up, the first time, she got pregnant. Did she have information? Did she use that information? She did have information from her colleagues who misled her. But she used that information, and unfortunately there were consequences. Let's put that on the parking lot for a few minutes. So today we are going to talk about a few minutes. I'll take a few minutes of your time to talk about comprehensive sexuality education. Done a beautiful skit here about what happens when emotions are in place. So comprehensive sexuality education is a curriculum-based and age-appropriate process of teaching and learning about all aspects of sexuality, including cognitive, emotional, physical, and social. And the aim of CSE is basically to equip you guys and other, maybe even younger children, with knowledge, attitudes, skills, and values, empowering them to realize and actively take care of their health and well-being. Develop social and sexual relationships based on respect and ensure protection of their rights throughout their lifetime. CSE promotes the right to choose when, with whom a person will have any form of intimate or sexual relationship. This choice includes the right to abstain, the right to delay, or to engage in sexual relationships. While abstinence is important, is an important method of preventing pregnancy, STIs, and CSE recognizes that abstinence is not a permanent condition in the lives of many young people, and that there is diversity in the way young people manage their sexual expression at various ages. Thus, SE to be accessible to all. Traditionally, sexual education aims to provide youth with scientifically accurate information about human development, about anatomy, about reproductive physiology, contraception, and sexually transmitted diseases. With the time, it has developed beyond basic information, and this new empowerment approach is designed to not only increase comprehensive knowledge among young people, but to empower them to adopt protective behaviors. So, one may ask, is CSE localized or is it internationally accepted? First of all, comprehensive sexuality education was first defined by UNESCO. This definition built upon the work of an international conference on population and development in Cairo in 1994, which affirmed reproductive and sexual rights. Remember, sexual rights as human rights, grounding access to reproductive and sexual health services, including information and education as universal and internationally recognized human rights. Now, can CSE be connected with what we call Sustainable Development Goals, SDG? Yes, CSE is inextricably connected with sustainable development goals. And why is this? While CSE is not explicitly stated in the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, it is essential for the success of many of the Sustainable Development Goals, and in particular, the intersection between and form, and that is health and education. For those of us who, I don't know whether you have read today's newspaper, Daily Nation, there's a big article about the nightmare of underage marriages in Morocco. In some of our communities, this is something which we know and something that we see. In one of those places in Morocco, in a place called Sousse Massa, in that region, there is over 44% illiteracy of women. And the author of that article ends by saying, educating women actually increases economic independence, and one effect is the reduction of child marriages and the end of bad cultural practices. And we know which some of these bad cultural practices are. CSE also plays an important role in addressing the gap in school attendance between genders through affirming abilities and intelligence of girls, reducing unwanted adolescent pregnancy and early marriage. For those of us who don't know, you've had almost 2 years of COVID-19. Our children have not been going to school for the last 2 years almost. And what have they been doing at home? And what have they been practicing? What they are not supposed to be practicing. And what is the effect of that practicing? Over 150 got pregnant. 150,000 adolescents. And some of these counties which are severely hit are, for example, Narok and some of the, in Kwale as well, and so on. Remember, 150,000 adolescents. What were you doing when you were 14? You guys were busy doing other things. You're busy studying, you're busy reading. And that is why we are here where you are. So those 150,000, chances of them getting here are very, very slim. Now, CSE provides a foundation for exercising reproductive rights, including access to family planning and the right to decide on the number, timing, and spacing of children. I mean, this doesn't affect you now, but there is a chance that you can get pregnant. With more people, particularly women, accessing these rights, CSE can have a direct positive effects on goals 1, 2, and 5. That is hunger and gender equality. My colleague, Dr. Onyino, mentioned that in Kenya today, by the way, these are statistics which were actually collated by one of our professors, Professor Karanja. Almost 500,000 illegal abortions are procured every year. 500,000. And out of that, several thousand of them complicate. And out of those several thousands, some of them die. And those ones who die, actually somebody equated it to putting women, loading women in an Airbus 737 and, crashing it on a hill. About 400 or so women die every month because of that. Is there evidence for CSE, comprehensive sexuality education? Yes, there is. It has been shown that comprehensive sexuality education actually leads to delay in the initiation of sexual intercourse, decreased frequency of sexual intercourse, decreased number of sexual partners, and reduced risk taking, as well as an increased use of condoms and increased use of contraception. One of our fellows here mentioned P2. Unfortunately, that is one of the things which is very, very highly misused by some of us. Sulisikia? And this is supposed to be an emergency pill. And unfortunately, you can't have an emergency every 2 days or every 3 days. It's not an emergency. So these are some of the things which we need to remember and think about. Now, what are the principles of comprehensive sexuality education? Number one, it has to be scientifically accurate, built upon evidence-based knowledges about sexual reproductive health, sexuality, and behaviors. Not like that young lady who was told, if you have sex standing up, it won't catch. And it did. So it has to be scientifically accurate. It has to be incremental, meaning that it has to be seen as a continuous process of education that starts at an early age and where new information is built upon previous knowledge. One of the things as COGS that we are getting a really pushback is about sexuality education, comprehensive sexuality education, right from primary school, secondary school, and even in university. What we are told when we try to bring this topic up, we are going to over-sexualize our children, number one. Number two, this is going to lead to sexual promiscuity. Number three, we are going to lead to abortions and so on and so forth. But that is not the point. The point is equipping these young children to know that actually if they are going to venture in areas which are areas restricted for mature people, then there will be consequences. So what we are saying as COGS is that we talk about abstinence, we talk about age appropriate sexual education, we talk about contraception, and so on and so forth. It is an age and developmentally appropriate, since the content of CSE always has to be aligned with the changes in needs and skills that normally happen through life and growth. It addresses developmentally relevant topics, and it embraces developmental diversity. It is comprehensive, meaning we talk about abstinence, we talk about sex itself. Is that song we say is let's talk about sex, baby? I don't know whether you know it, you guys. You don't know it. Munaijua? Kweli? I thought it was an old song. Anyway, so let's talk about sex. By the way, my department, obstetrics and gynecology, would not be existent if there was no what? If there was no sex. So why not talk about it then? Why talk about it behind closed doors as taboo? It is not taboo. Unfortunately, we talk about it behind closed doors, and then our children, have access to all these gadgets, and we can see the effects. Now, it has to be based on human rights, I mentioned that. And it has to be based on gender equity, both by exploring the ways social norms can influence equity and empowering young people and educating them towards culture of non-discrimination based on the creation of respectful and equitable relationships built on empathy and understanding. It is culturally relevant and appropriate. Now, for us who are in this part of the world, it is very difficult for us to talk to our girls. Remember that gentleman who said, if I had a boy, I would tell him that these men enjoy what? Putting food in their stomach and something below the belt. I don't know. Can't remember. That was beautiful. But we as parents, you as grown-ups, we need to talk about this. Can you imagine? I don't know whether any of you ladies, your father ever talked to you about your periods. Anybody? I can see that while laughing. It's like I talk to gentlemen and they say, Mimi, ati ninunue pads. For who? And why not? Sometimes my daughter actually tells me, Dad, I'm on my periods. Can you get me a pair of some pads, some whatever? I said, yes, of course. And then when I take them from the and I put them there by the counter, you know what people do? All right? So these are some of the things that we need to break. We have to look at the cultural context of how we are going to talk about comprehensive sexuality education. Number 3, it has to be transformative, since it provides learners with opportunities to develop positive values and attitudes towards sexual reproductive health, human rights, and gender equality. Professor talked here about the steps that have been taken, but they are not there yet. We need to work harder. So, gender equality in order to develop a fair and compassionate society. It also promotes critical thinking. So when your friend tells you P2, you should ask, why should I take P2? What are the possible side effects? When your friend tells you, when the baby girl says, Mimi, CD, kwani you think nina kaswende? You should ask, why not? Because those ones who have kaswende or those ones who have HIV, it is actually not written on their faces. It is not. So yes, this should equip us. It should equip, think critically, because sometimes in the heat of the moment, we don't think at all. And then later on, we really cry. And it aims to develop life skills needed to support healthy choices, such as the ability to reflect and make informed decisions, communicate and negotiate effectively, and demonstrate assertiveness. Just want to say something about human rights. And this is basically promotes an understanding of universal human rights, including the rights of children, young people, and the rights of persons to health, education, information, equality, and non-discrimination. There's something that is called sex-positive approach, which is an attitude which is cross-cutting to all forms and experiences of comprehensive sexuality education. And it celebrates sexuality as a part of life that can enhance happiness, bringing energy, and celebration. You heard when she said, when you were kwanza, watch out, I don't know if it was a celebration or it was, castigation. Something that SPA is supposed to strengthen is solidarity in ensuring that diversity of sexualities and experiences are heard and acknowledged. And also there is space for people who have experienced sexual exploitation or abuse, stigmatization or shame, to be listened to and enabled to access support. About a month ago, one of my registrars called me. A registrar is a doctor who is in training. Called me from Kenyatta Hospital and said, Daktari, we have a young girl here, and this young girl is, I think she was 6 or 7. And I said, okay, what is the problem? He said, this young girl has been sexually abused. And then I said, by who? So she says, he says, well, according to the story, it's now the parents who brought the young girl, is that she's picked in the morning in the school bus that we see, and in the afternoon she's dropped by the gate, and usually there's nobody to walk her to their home, to their apartment. The man who opens the gate, a soldier, took her behind somewhere and assaulted her sexually. So when she reached home, of course she didn't know what to do. When she went home, the parents came home and they saw that the child, something is not right. And when they started prodding, I said, yule soja alinipeleka huko nyuma na akanifanyia vitu vibaya. So what did the parents do? Put her in a bathtub, washed her, cleaned her nicely so that everything is okay. and then brought her to hospital. They had washed away all the what? All the evidence. As if that was not enough, one of the wards, we have a GBV ward in Kenyatta. We're doing a ward round, and we find a lady who was 59. So when the register starts, referring, saying what happened, said they went out for an evening, they were having fun, and so on. Not far, in Langata. They had a few drinks, and they went home. She was in the company of her friends. And one of them actually raped her. So here you have two extremes. You have a young lady, 7 years. You have a 59-year-old lady. All of them sexually abused. So what are we saying? What we're saying is that we need to know. We need to equip people. We need to equip our children with this information. What do you do when somebody starts touching you? And it doesn't happen to children only. It will happen, it may happen to you, from your colleagues who think maybe, she has had a drink or two, so I can take advantage of that. Comprehensive sexuality education is about choices. You'll say, and if you say yes, you're going to have that intercourse, then let it be safe for you and also for the partner. So what are the desired outcomes and learning objectives of CSE? Number one, relationships. This includes family. How can we talk to our families? How can we share experiences that we have? It talks about love, romantic relations. We are in a beautiful age where you can actually, you fall in love and you fall in love nicely. Rocks and boulders and everything. You can't see anything beyond that guy or beyond that lady. It also talks about that. Number two, it talks about values, rights, culture, and sexuality. Number three is about understanding gender. This includes understanding the social construct of gender and staying safe. Professor Wagayu talked about that incident yesterday. And thank God, I think 14 or 16 border guys have been caught. And if it were me, actually, we were discussing it in theater today morning. We said, I wish they get a female judge. Sindio? Afunge alafu fungu afanye nini? Atupe. Because that is not right. It is not acceptable. And even the guy who was filming, they should also have caught him. How can he not come and help somebody who is in distress like that? It just reflects on us, on our society. Another learning outcome is about skills for health and well-being. And obviously this addresses norms and peer influence on sexual behavior, decision-making regarding sexual health and behaviors. It talks about the human body and development. This includes sexual and reproductive anatomy, physiology, especially reproduction and pregnancy. I can tell you, most of us have no idea about what happens when you get pregnant, but you will get pregnant. So you need to be equipped with this information. And then lastly, about sexual and reproductive health. And this includes pregnancy. When you do get pregnancy, what happens? Pregnancy prevention, prevention of STIs. It also teaches about HIV and stigma and the various health services available to treat and prevent STIs, including HIV. A few years ago, as I was working in the UK, I met in one of the IVF centers. I met a lady. She was from Sudan. Dr. Odula here knows that. So this lady had come all the way from Sudan to come to the UK to try and have a baby. And when I took down the history, she was, I think, 34, 35. One of the things we ask is whether she's had any surgeries, whether she's allergic to anything, etc., etc. And then it comes to the obstetric history. Have you ever been pregnant? If you have you ever delivered? Have you ever lost any pregnancies, any abortions, and so on? So what she told me, said, no, Daktari, but she didn't say Daktari, but doctor. I've been pregnant. I said, okay, how many times? 3 times. And what happened? Remember, she was a doctor. Said I got pregnant 3 times and I aborted 3 times. But please, don't tell who? My husband. I said, well, I don't have any reason of telling your husband. But now she was actively and aggressively trying to get pregnant. So we did some blood tests, to see how, what we call ovarian reserve, how it is and so on. We did a scan, and unfortunately, her ovarian reserve had dropped, number one. She said, I can do anything and I will give anything to do what? To have a baby, because now I'm married. I'm ready to settle down. We stimulated her. We didn't get very many eggs. We got a few eggs, created embryos, did a transfer. Did not work. Came again, did the same. By the way, that was one of the most expensive clinics in the whole of the UK. A cycle of treatment costs about £13,000. So she went through one cycle, £13,000, Zimenda, and still see that face, the look in her eyes, trying to get pregnant, and she couldn't. But she'd had how many chances? 3 chances, which she had lost. Remember, the first young lady who was 14, had information, wrong information, used it wrongly, and the outcome was different. And this other one, very well educated, access to all the information that she could have. She used the information, or she chose not to use the information. She did what she had to do, and the outcome was there. So what is sexuality education? It is to equip you to know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And in finishing, I would just like to leave you with words from Paul. Paul in Philippians 4 verse 8 says, whatsoever things are what? Whatsoever things that are good, whatsoever things that are faithful, whatsoever things that are of good report, if there is any virtue in it, think about these things. Think about CS. Thank you.
So, you do you have so much information that you cannot even smile? Did just daktari disapprove your kienyeji? Nyama kwa nyama, daktari, you just disapproved. And maybe the question that is now going through my mind is, do people have to have repeated, I believe, unsafe abortions? Yeah? Do they have to go through that? Is there a safer way of going about it? We will be just having that conversation in a few. I want to assure those who are gloomy that it is within us, believers enough that in the same way we give you a purple t-shirt, we can give you snacks. But before then, let me welcome the University Traveling Theatre. Very short. And then after that, we will have Dr. Odula, but the University Traveling Theatre. Maybe you can tell us what it is they are performing.
Siwezi waambia, mtajionea. Si mko na macho. Ama nifanye sign language hapa kando. Naweza wafanyia sign language. So we are going to have a skit. It's a nice one. Tuendelee kucheka, si ndio? Yeah, it's called Edu Entertainment, si ndio? I hope you are getting the points. Nani ako na condom? Nani amebeba condom? Uko nayo? Mwenye ako nayo nimpe lunch. Toa hivi. Toa hivi nikununulie lunch sahi. You see, this is how afraid we are about sex. And we need to talk about sex so that we can protect ourselves and have this conversation about comprehensive sex education. So we are going to have a skit. Yes. Yeah.
We, haki nimechoka. But kesho tumeinvitiwa International Women's Day Show, UNTT. Hata ni rehearse poem yangu. I am a black woman. The music of my songs, a sweet arpeggio of tears, is written in a minor key, and I can be heard humming in the night. I saw my mate leap screaming to the sea, and I, with these hands, capped the life breath from the issue in the canebrake. I lost Nan's swimming body in a rain of tears, and had my son's crook chop heal in anguish. Now my nostrils know the gas, and these trigger-tired fingers seek the softness in my warrior's beard. I am a black woman, tall as a cypress, strong beyond all definition, still defying time and place and circumstance, assailed, impervious, indestructible. Look on me and be renewed. Sitachujua. Niyo. Yako ni gani? Ni ile ya hips.
Mama hips. Homage to my hips. These hips are big hips. They need big spaces to move around in. They do not fit into little petty places.
These hips are free hips. They have never been held back. These hips have never been enslaved. They go where they want to go. They do what they want to do. These hips are magic hips. These hips are mighty hips. They have been known to put a spell on a man and spin him like a top.
Lakini mimi pia niko na yangu. Praise of menstruation. If there's a river bright as this red edge of the moon, if there's a river more faithful than this, returning each month to the same delta, if there's a river braver than this, coming and coming in surge of passion, of pain, if there's a river more ancient than this, daughter of Eve, mother of Cain and Abel, if there is in the universe such a river with more powerful water than this world water, then I pray that it flows into the animals, the beautiful, the faithful, the ancient, and the female. And the brave by Lucille Clifton. Nini mbaya? Nini mbaya? Shida? Nini shida?
Aki amekuwa kitapika of late, mimi hata ananishangaza. Na ka question hapo.
Si ndio?
Hebu kuja.
Umesema ni nini shida?
Aki sisikii poa. Nilieka chini.
Unatapika kwani kuna ball? Noela.
Unatapika kwani kuna ball?
Wewe wacha story.
Noela.
Basha babe. Nilikuwa na kijana mwingine hapo, tall, dark, handsome, ameunga hivi.
Miki tunakumbuka ulikuwa na kingfisher mbili.
Awe focus.
Miki tunakumbuka ni kijana fupi, no.
Mimi, I'll never be missed.
Ai.
Mara ya mwisho mimi niliona mlikuwa kwa car park.
Nilitoka na yeye lakini
mimi nilienda but kurudi nikapata tu bebe.
Cheza chini. Lazima ungechachisha. Kwani lazima ungechachisha je?
Ni ukweli.
ngoja kiasi.
Unasema nini? Umekazana hapa tunyamaze alafu.
Ongea na Mungu.
I think niko na ball. See for sure like
Umepima?
kuna tu vile
Umepima?
sijapata periods for like
Umepima. Sasa maybe ni hormones. Environment.
Ni mimi nakushow. Ni mimi ndo najua.
Umepima? Ni nini umepima?
Sijapima. Imagine badala ya tushinde hapa tukisema hivi kwa bora. Si tunaenda lunch. Tuende tupitie chemistry.
Oh, by the way.
Acha tuende lunch sawa?
Joyce unakula? Kunyamba kazi. Twende. Tumetoka na.
I don't go out with vienyejis. Before that, kulikuwa na Brayo. But alikuwa na katu sijui aje. Kevin tulienda rounds kadhaa, but tulitumia protection. Ama ni Kevin? Kaya yake ni Kevu. But then again, Brian, ilikuwa like a month.
Baby girl, tumerudi.
Fanya?
Hakuna whatever.
Pizza. Alafu ndo hizi test kits.
Nani anajua kutumia?
Mimi
anajua.
kujolea na kuja kuangalia. Msichana mimi vile namuona hata ajui baba yangu.
Kwani alipull out?
Alikosa pull out huyo. Alikuwa amelewa hata alikuwa ajui baba yangu atafuta kijana toa.
Na nini nashukwanga shida yake na tumekuwa tukiongea hapa. Alafu anakata tisi tu. Anakuja.
Leta tuone. Hakuna kujudge.
Si ulete nini? Leta, shida iko?
Kani positive na.
Si tunajua.
Angalia moja.
Shikilia tutashika msusu. Si ni mbili. Joyce, unadanganyanga. Lakini ni mbili. Unaweza tumia vitu mbili alafu na pesa hukutoa pia.
Usianguke.
Lakini
siwezi kuwa na ball.
Huwezi kuwa na ball. Lakini si tumepima. Noela, niko na idea. Kuna rafiki yangu alitumianga strungi hiyo conk. Imagine ili work. Si ndio?
Kienyeji sana. Strong tea tunakunywa kila siku inatoa aje ball.
Sasa ni mimi basi tumieni jik.
Jik. Unataka tuwe mpaka mama mtoto. Shwari. Wewe
Imagine zinafanya. Ama basi twende kwa doc. Si ndio?
Hospitali gani? Noela mimi nakwambia usikubali kwenda hosi. Hosi unaenda huko unakaa long hours. Alafu imagine upatane na watu unawajua. Wako tu hapa wanakuuliza huko kwa line ya nini shwari. Alafu upatane na ule nurse mwenye anatukanga nje na shamba. Yule akaswele kuja unaitwa na daktari. Yule asifilis. Ashauta mama kufanya nini shwari. Usikubali kuenda hospitali. Alafu watakuuliza maswali. Where? Ujui? What? Uko sure unataka kwenda huko? Mimi achani kwa advice. Kuna msia anaitwa Japolo River Road. Haraka.
Joyce wewe.
Hata hakuna maswali anakuuliza.
Joyce mbona unadanganya mwenzako? Hadi unasikia? Mbona kumwambia time ulikuwa unaenda kupanua mguu?
Surely wewe achana nenda kwa Japolo usidanganywe. Hata hizi mambo mingi achana nazo.
Enda kwa daktari.
Enda kwa Japolo.
Enda kwa daktari.
Enda kwa daktari
mimi nakwambia. Enda kwa daktari. Enda kwa daktari.
Guys, so si mnajua at this age si ni comrades, ndio? Sasa hii, when was the last time ulikula lunch? Ukweli, as a comrade, mara mwisho ulikula lunch. Alafu imagine kwenda OC, kulipa hizo bills zote, si kwa Japan. Ikiendanga, ama vipi?
Okay. Sijui Japolo. Japolo hayes. Na ukikufa, Dr. Odula, for example, wewe ni daktari. Na unajua Japolo. Wewe mbona unaweza wasema swali mingi sana? wakikam kwako. Mbona unasikia wase, oh, akasonde, oh, Dr. Oduna, come and clear the air, tell us who we are going to. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. Dr. Were, you people are being accused of asking so many questions, so many questions. Ni wanani, ni zangapi, ni kwa nini? Dr. Kireki, do we have to respond to all those questions? Na japo waulizangi vitu mingi, anajua ni nini tumekamia. So karibu sana Dr. Odula. Dr. Odula is KMA's Nairobi division chairperson. So in KMA we work through divisions, and she happens to be the chairperson in the division. She's also a gyna, so she is best placed to tell us why she represents.
Thank you very much, Magari. I'm having so much fun. I forgot that I'm part of the panel. Guys, good morning, everyone. Good morning. So glad to be here. Professor Egayu, Dean, School of Medicine, representing our Vice Chancellor, Asante Sana. Professor Odingo, she's not here now. Professor Mitula, thank you, from UNESCO. Our two presidents, Dr. Kireki Omanwa from COGS, Dr. Were from KMA National. KMA Wase Muko. Baby girl, share it with you. So without further ado, I was invited here to share with you this very special day. It's not only for women alone, like Professor Mitula said, it's for all of us because we all come from hips don't. Hips don't lie. On a light touch. So our theme for today is gender equality for a sustainable tomorrow. And the UN said we have to add climate action for women, by women, in the search for sustainable solutions. What a welcome addition. So I remember today, in fact, Dr. Were reminded me about Professor Boas Nyunya, our mentor. And our mentor used to have this one song. There's no health without sexual. Yes, yes, yes. So that is very right. You know, this is adult education. I've learned from you guys. You will learn from me, hopefully. So there is no health without sexual health. Okay, another question. There is no health without reproductive. There is no health without sexual and reproductive. So what is sexual and reproductive health? See, it's simple. My speakers before me have debunked the myths, and now we're breaking the biases. What is sexual and reproductive health? See, it's simple. Hey, she has all the answers because we have to know who we want to have sex with. It has to be pleasurable, isn't it? See, hapo kwa bushes. It has to be in a nice place. And it has to be somebody mnapendana. Sindio? My ABCs have changed. My ABCs have changed. Now niko kwa age, my youth. ABC for me is accept sex as something beautiful. Accept sex as something beautiful. Because hata kama utakuta unauliza, mom, can I have sex? Do you ever say that? Hapana. Mom, can I have the car keys? Yes. Can I have money? Yes. And I kuuliza, mom, can I have sex? Is it true? So accept sex as something beautiful, but be safe. Okay? So we want to encompass all efforts to eliminate preventable causes of women and girls dying or becoming sick. I'm trying to simplify this English. We say morbidity and mortality. So we want to ensure quality sexual and reproductive health services, including contraceptive services. Sasa mkija kwetu and you ask us for contraception, don't tell us what you want. Ask for advice as what will suit you. Mimi nataka tu pitu naenda nangojewa. No. Come and we take your weight, blood pressure, kila kitu, we see what suits you best, how long you want to have contraception when you want to be ready for a baby. So please, Dr. Kideki mentioned this. We want to address sexually transmissible infections because this has given him a lot of problems. These STDs, makisononos, kaswendes, mananana. Later on, after that big wedding, you start waiting for the bol and naikuji because of those STDs. So when you're using barrier methods, we prevent our women from having STDs. We are looking out for harmful traditional practices. Which are one of those harmful ones? Like female genital? Excellent. This lecture is done. Answers zinatoka. We want to take care to save our women and girls and boys from violence at all ages. And we want to take care of adolescents and youth. We want to take care of your sexual health. We want you to enjoy your time as a student, but you must have the facts for you to live a healthful life. So I'm going on to say that I am imagining a gender equal world. A gender equal world. Free of bias, stereotypes, and discrimination. And it's impossible for women to take care and to take part in making decisions if they cannot take charge of their bodies. For example, by the time you enter the job market and every year, really, we want you to take charge and to know spacing of your family. When you want to go on maternity, you plan for it. So when you come back, you're still on the career path. You must have agency. Sexual and reproductive health, I want to say today, concerns overall well-being of all, as it's a matter of life and death. It's a matter of life and death. Going back to 1994 in Cairo during the ICPD conference, this sexual health was recognized as a human rights issue, not just as couples' right, but applicable to all. So that there in Cairo, they had a subheading, Health, Morbidity, and Mortality, the public health impact of unsafe abortion. Unsafe abortion. So, auliza kwanza, Japolo safe or unsafe? Japolo safe or unsafe? These guys have got more marks. Japolo safe or unsafe? So a safe abortion is one that is provided by a trained provider using the minimal medical standards. If I, as a gynecologist, performs an abortion here, would it be safe or unsafe? Dr. Omano is just shaking his head. So the focus ties in very squarely on the need to end teenage pregnancies because this impacts negatively on your health and on your education and on your career paths. And teenage pregnancy is a proxy indicator for sexual violence, HIV, STDs, and it fuels inequalities. And we're here to break those. Break those? Yeah. Things are good. Things are looking good. KMA has a twin mandate. And it executes its mandates through promoting quality healthcare through various committees. Wangare here is our coordinator for the Reproductive Health Committee. Dr. Wangare, another one, Marie Claire. You know, we're doing a lot of work through our reproductive health. Asked whether we have evidence. We have had evidence through studies, through research, with the support of partners. Last year we launched a report and we were calling this report the chief conspirators in unsafe abortion and maternal deaths in this country. The roles of laws, policies, health systems, and duty bearers. I must admit, we as healthcare providers have a role to play when we're, because by the time a young woman has left her room, you know, you saw this scene here. There's 2 lines, she's not so sure, she's throwing up, she can't eat, she's missing class. She's thought hard about it, and she comes to you. And you tell her, hey, mama. And you tell her, hey, mama. And you tell her, hey, mama. I am able to use the laws and policies right in my hand. It's right in my alley. I can give her what she needs. We have medication abortion. We have surgical. But this early one, we could have helped her. Lakini anaenda kule River Road. We decided discovered through our research that unsafe abortion takes 32% of our women and girls who are dying from japolos and the likes, from strong tea, from jik, from coat hangers. It is the reality, and we are witnesses. We don't want to see any more of this. Our maternal mortality has dropped, yes, to 362, but who is happy to see a woman die who's carrying a voter for August 9th elections? Who want to see a woman die? And the voter ako ndani hapo, who wants to see a woman die? Who here wants to see a woman sexually harassed? None of us want to see that. But our legal framework is a restrictive environment. And the punitive laws and policies are really reversing the gains that we're making daily. As well as the cost. The cost came up here. The cost. Some people will offer you abortion for maybe $100, $50. Some people much, much more than that. But a woman with money can leave her office at 12 to come to a provider, a safe provider. Tunamsaidia, 1:30, ananunua pizza. She goes back to her office and she's eating and she's doing her work like nothing happened. Like nothing happened. So Kenya spends 433 million in the cost of managing unsafe abortion. And these differentials depend on private or public, physician, non-physician, and the use of appropriate guidelines. Our legal and policy framework is expanded since August 2010. We also have county frameworks that are allowing us to carry out our mandate. Don't send these women away. By the time we save these women from the initial, she wasn't ready, give her a contraceptive method. We will avoid the three abortions that our colleague in the UK went through. Give her a method. Talk to her about cervical cancer screening. Talk to her about STIs. Talk to her about breast exam. Engage these young women. These are our leaders. These are our governors. These are our Kenyans. We want you guys to be healthy. We have guidelines for reducing unsafe abortion in this country. We have guidelines for quality obstetrics and childcare. The devolution frameworks in Kilifi, Makueni, Kakamega, and Mombasa. I understand the one in Nakuru was passed without our positive input, but we keep engaging, and we want to hear what you say. There's I know young people say this, and I want to believe in them. There's nothing for us without, that is you guys. Come and sit at the table with us. Tell us your fears. Tell us what you want. Tell us what you expect from us. Our role as health providers is to minimize legal risk, participate in legislative processes, get annoyed, get involved, find out what your county government is doing. Is it for you or is it against you? And provide the best care to our patients. I mentioned the study we launched last year with the help of our partners, but there are two previous studies. There's one in 2004 with partners. We looked at the national assessment of the magnitude and consequences of unsafe abortion. And 9 years later, the incidences and complications of unsafe abortion. And the findings are no different. The fatalities in sub-Saharan Africa are lower than the ones in Kenya. So we're losing more Kenyans. Who is angry? Who is feeling fire in their belly? Get annoyed. We want to take care of our religious beliefs so that they don't interfere with what we have to offer. We have to clarify our professional and private and personal responsibilities. What is comprehensive abortion care? Comprehensive abortion care. This is now the most serious part of this talk. There's primary prevention. Prevent an unwanted pregnancy. Secondary prevention is when we manage the actual pregnancy. Doesn't mean abortion sazote. We're managing, means we can and then go for adoption or terminate safely within the laws. And the third one is tertiary, life-saving, recognized in both private and the public. I mentioned the ICPD conference whereby we said, provided the circumstances of the abortion is not against the law, it should be provided and safe. Therefore, laws, the penal code that is punitive to women who want to access abortion care must be reviewed. There is our International Federation of Obstetricians and Gynecologists who say that providers can conscientiously object to providing a service. In a case of emergency, the provider is not allowed to object because he will be held liable. Recently, in our digital space, we are aware of disinformation campaigns which were targeting lawmakers, targeting professionals, spreading out false, myths and misconceptions just on the mobile phone, on Twitter, on all our social media handles. The problem is when you retweet such negative disinformation, you make them popular. Sini kweli? At least you guys know that more than I do. Now I'm learning from you guys. When you retweet and, you think you're saying no, but you're making that tweet more and more popular. So these campaigns attacked our Kenyan politician activists who advocated for the reproductive health care bill, the surrogacy bill. In fact, they were saying, mtoto wa surrogacy anaweza kuwa ni, mwenda zimu and stuff like that. Is that true or false? So, in closing, I want to just choose the rallying call for us to break biases. We are made aware of those who went before us, Professor Wangari Maathai, our Nobel Peace Prize winner, as well as now we're rooting for Professor Were, Professor Miriam Were, who has been nominated for our Nobel Peace Prize. And I came across a quote from an American astronaut. His name is Jim Lovell. And he said, and there are those who watch things happen. And there are people who wonder, what happened? To be successful, you need to be a person who makes things. Thank you very much. Break those biases. Happy Women's Day.
Thank you so much, Dr. Caro Odula. I think I have changed my mind. I'd rather not Japolo. If these are the gynas we will meet in the clinic, this one doesn't look like shouting, kaswende. This one looks a bit cool. It doesn't look like spreading rumors. This one looks like encouraging. It looks like if policies were in place, we can even negotiate the prices. We can even call on the government to step in and make the costs bearable, because at least we have cool gainers. That's when we are sorted. Yeah? So as we near the end of this event, I have a dream in my head. And I visualize a time like this, a time coming when all of us will become a movement. All of us in this room. That we can champion for what we believe in, that we can, with the guide of the great people who've spoken before me, champion our way forward and say, you know what? We know what ails us as young people. We know the way to doing this, and allow us the chance. We will call on any stakeholder who's acting as a barrier or even as an enabling actor in that case, to dialogue with us, not to tell us, but to dialogue with us. Do you think that is possible? People from this side, do you think you have the voice, the courage, the conviction, the information it takes? Who are with me in breaking this bias? So when I come to the university and I'm coming for a collaboration, I'll not be saying, DVC, I don't know who. I'll be saying the people I met, the people who are convicted, the people who are ready, the people who will take this agenda forward. So this is going to be the beginning of our conversation, but definitely look forward to more and more events like this. So having had all this conversation, I know so many people I want to open this. Our guests, listen carefully to some of the remarks that will be made. If there's any question that is going to be posed, for you to clarify issues. So I'm opening it to everybody who has a remark to make before we bring this to an end. What do you think about the event? What have you learned? What do you want to say? Someone has something? Cool. I don't know whether someone can help me with the mic to... Are there others in the room who want to say something? Raise your hand so we are able to coordinate this very quickly. tell you I can't speak for Kalin. But
hello everyone. Happy International Women's Day. I'm Teresia Karimi, Debate President, University of Nairobi. First of all, I'd like to appreciate the conversation, and I really got to learn a lot because I recall my first time experiencing my menses. It was on 2014 on a Sunday, and the person who was coaching me, she was actually telling me that from now henceforth, you have to stay away from boys. I was like, why? I was like, how do I start telling my friends that from today henceforth, I don't know you? It was so shocking because I didn't know like what's happening to me. I was like, what's going on? And a friend of mine, actually a classmate, when we went to school on a Monday, she was like, no, from today, unafaa kuvaa sweater. You know, tulikuwa tunavaa sweater long sleeved. So from today unafaa kuvaa, ujifunge. So in case of anything, uchafue nguo, maboys hawata kucheka. I was like, why should I do that? Ama nafaa kuvaa hizi vitu kila siku? Because that was in my mind, like from today henceforth, nafaa kuvaa hizi vitu kama pampers. And I was like, no, that's not what's going to happen to me. So I started putting on sweaters. I'm like, I know this is not the way forward. That's when I met some colleagues, also friends. I was in primary, and I didn't get this education enough that something like that has to be done, or you have to be open to your parent and discuss about it. And actually, this takes me back to my village. I was shocked. 2020, I went there and hearing some cases that girls at the age of 15 are getting pregnant, and the measures they are taking even to get rid of it, some are drinking aerial, you know, diluting it in water. It really shocked me and made me start a brand to educate the girl child and create awareness in our village. And I was like, I'm among the few who have made it to campus actually, and it is shocking. Like personally, before engaging to something like sex, I have to be psychologically prepared. But for a young girl at the community level, they are just doing it for fun. They don't even know what this is. They don't even know what are the contraceptives. You just ask a young girl, do you know what is condom? Hajui. And I was really shocked, and I love the conversation that we are bringing. And for us women, we still have a long way to go. I believe we have to advocate for the rights of women outside here. And I like to appreciate all men that came out yesterday to condemn that act, and those who have joined us today. Thank you and be blessed.
Thank you for that. We have a reaction here.
Sorry, I have a mic.
There's a question. Pole daktari.
Sorry, I had put up my hand and I was given the mic. Maybe I can make my comment? Yeah, well, sit down. Now, thank you very much, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Kimathi. I believe I have the dubious distinction of being the oldest member of this congregation, this meeting. Now, two comments, and I'm following up from what Professor Mitula said about using the laws, guidelines that we have. My comment is specifically on what we have from the 2010 Constitution, which basically, the 2010 Constitution states in 26.4, abortion is not permitted unless in the opinion of a trained health professional. In my view, that statement should read, abortion is permitted if in the opinion of a trained health professional. It's the same statement, just the wording that is different. If in the opinion of that trained health professional, the life, if it's a case of an emergency, or if the life or health of the mother is in danger, or if it's permitted by any other written law. Now, having said that, the Constitution further defines a trained health professional, and listen to me, as a nurse, a clinical officer, a midwife, a doctor, or even a specialist, whatever, who is trained and licensed to provide the service. The import of that part of the Constitution, if you look at it carefully, and you look at it from the point of view of the health services in this country, we have a nurse, a clinical officer, a midwife, all the other cadres at all levels of service delivery, manned by nurses and clinical officers in health centers and so on. And then a lot of private clinics also have these individuals. Now, based on that area of the Constitution, the Ministry of Health, stakeholders, and even some church organizations put together, and I'm trying to shorten this story, put together national guidelines, national standards and guidelines for the prevention of the abortion-related maternal morbidity and mortality. Together with that, they also put down training guidelines for health workers to be trained to provide safe, legal abortions using medication abortion, medical drugs. When I qualified as a doctor many years back, the only way of terminating an abortion was a very complicated one. It was what was called dilatation and curettage, DNC, where everybody had to go to theater and so on. I don't want to go into that. Then by the time Dr. Odula qualified, we now had the manual vacuum aspirators, and that was a step. You didn't have to go on under anesthesia and so on. The ministry was putting in place, the training that was being put in place was to use tablets. 5 tablets, 1 tablet is taken in the clinic, 24 hours later, and somebody will go home and resume her periods. All they would probably experience is that maybe a little bleeding and maybe cramps. Now, that is a training that was prohibited by the stroke of a pen by the then Director of Medical Services. Luckily, after the court case that was brought by FIDA, that has now been reinstated. The guidelines can be used to train health workers in the use of medical abortion to terminate pregnancies, and the guidelines and standards can also be put in use. Unfortunately, that has not been the case. And I don't want to go into the reasons why, but I think it's a situation where the did good work, put up standards and guidelines, and then an individual, for reasons that I can't understand, was able to put that all to rest, and we have lost almost from 2013 to now, we have lost almost 9 years, going to 10 years, the tools, and they would have saved a lot of women who have continued to suffer from the Japolos. By the way, Japolo is a real person. I am aware. It's Japolo who provides these services, unsafe abortion services, and he is known, and he contributes a lot, of course, to maiming and injuring quite a lot of young guys, young girls and women. Having said that, let me make 2 statements. One, ladies and gentlemen, there is no girl, no woman who gets pregnant so that they can have an abortion. Get me right. Nobody gets pregnant so that they can have an abortion, right? Number 2, if a girl or a woman has an unintended or an unwanted pregnancy and decides she's going to have an abortion, there's very little you can do to stop that person from going to do what the ladies who are acting there said. Okay? So, what I am saying here is it is important for us to interpret the law properly in the interest of our women and girls, and put in place those services that are in line with our Constitution, that are in line with our Sex Offences Act, where if a woman has been raped or if a girl has been defiled, they're entitled to an abortion legally, legal abortion, and so on. And I had a friend who has since retired, who used to, again, post-abortion care program. Post what?
Abortion.
Post-abortion care program. This program puts trained staff, trained staff, equipment, and everything else in hospitals, so that if you go to Japolo, you come to the health institution, you get treated. If you have infection, if you are bleeding, you have incomplete abortion, you get treated, you get better, and when you go home, hopefully they'll advise, go start yourself on a contraceptive so that you don't get a repeat pregnancy and so on. But the Ministry of Health should, that lady used to say, if you provide post-abortion care, you wait until women have gone through Japolos, they come, you treat them, they go home. It is like going to your house in the evening and you find you left your tap. The water has run and the whole floor is flooded. Then you take a mop and start mopping the water without turning off the running tap. How do we turn off the running tap? I think Dr. Odola talked about comprehensive abortion care, where prevention, ladies and gentlemen, prevention of an intended pregnancy is the way to go. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kimathi, for those remarks. So amen. Yani wamechangamka. Ladies, are you feeling threatened on International Women's Day? Why don't you have questions? You know these things.
Sorry.
Yeah, he is getting the mic. Sorry, can we start with the lady behind you, then come to the gentleman? Just as a matter of order, notes. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hey.
I'm Paula Kwamboka. I do journalism and media studies. My question is to Professor Winnie. Growing up in an African setting, talking about sex is a very sacred issue. Our parents never really talk to us about sex, what we're supposed to do, or anything. How is your organization dealing with that? Sorry for that.
I think coming from university and also linked with a lot of associations, networks, NGOs, and everybody else, this issue is the concern that has been there for almost 100 years. We are trying to ensure that people can talk about sex. But it's still quite a taboo, not easy to open up to their girls. Our sister here, the debater, said it all. You can imagine what she was being told. It became like having your man, and, is a curse. So she had to change her life and all that. So we need to talk about it, but it's a sensitization issue. It's sensitization, and what we are doing here with K really right there on the spot. I think this is one of the key ones, and we really want it done for UN. And that's why I was asking about O3+. O3+ is just doing that. How many went with us for a walk at Mount Kenya University? Good. A number of people went for that walk. We had a walk, thousands of us. We were talking about reproductive health. So we had that outside the but not university. So we had border people. Border people were part of us because we want them to know that Thika is full of young people. And these young people are your brothers, are your sisters. You don't have to abuse them. All this abuse we are seeing, even what happened in Forest Road, should never happen. It's sensitization. But I think you young people, I guess you have to also sensitize your parents. Shock them up once in a while. I had a lot of shocks, things like there. You don't ask them, but what was that bad question? They ask for money, they ask for what, but they don't ask for what? For sex. Yeah, so you need to shock them. I think we need to be shocked as parents. We need to be shocked. Just like I got a very good example of a 4-year-old. This 4-year-old child, a little girl, told the nanny and the mom, I want my day. I'm not going to school. Dressed ready to get into the car. I want my day. I'm not going to school. The mother was so upset. The maid is so upset. But the father said, well, let her just stay. She's just drawing and coloring. Let her stay. This example to me is very powerful of this child. That is self-efficacy. The self-assertion. Many times in your homes, this is killed immediately, isn't it? You would be caned, right? You would be caned for saying that. So this self-efficacy gets from this man who allowed this child not to go to school only one day. But do you know what? That is the training of CBC. It means the maid and the mother didn't know CBC. CBC is training them to put their heads down. If they're tired and they can't learn anymore, they need to talk it out. I'm tired. Because it's normal. So sensitization, my sister. Let's do it. Do it with your small young brothers, sisters, and your parents. Be confident to be open to them. When you are going to Japolo, probably if you talk to your mom, you would go to the right direction, or your father. But Japolo, once you go to Japolo, you end up again back to your parents to go for proper attention, isn't it? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. The other hand was...
Excuse.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I go by the name Festus Kirwa, and first of all, it's quite peculiar for a man to speak probably in a woman's meeting. But first of all, let me say this. First of all, I condemn the incident that happened along Forest Road. As men, yes, I need to speak. As men, we need to protect our ladies. They are beautiful flowers, and so they need to be protected. Yes, we must not condone the likes of people who take the vulnerability of the lady to abuse them and harass them. That is a habit of a simp. We really need men to protect the ladies, just like their fathers, just like the whole community that protects the ladies. As young men within the city, let us not take the vulnerability of the ladies to harass them and even abuse them. It is just disgusting. Yeah? Second, our grandfathers taught us one thing. Learn to protect your sisters and your mothers. That was somebody's sisters, that was somebody's wife, that was somebody's probably sister-in-law. We condemn it. Second of all, let me finish by saying, protect the girls, protect the girl child, protect...
Polo, and I don't know why they are not really giving me, they are not shooting their hands for me to know on what basis they are supporting Japolo, or let's see this question, and then I'll come back to the lady at the back.
Hi everyone. Are you okay? My name is Enoch. Enoch the MC. Okay. Today I'm so glad to be here. I was told with my elder sister here, our debate club chairperson, that today leo nikuje na skirt. Nimetafuta sikupata. So hopefully mmenisamea kwa hiyo. Being a woman, it is just a superpower, yeah? Sindio? Yeah, and for that reason, today I felt well, nilisikia vizuri, like I can surprise a lady. Just pesa kidogo tu. I give out a 500 shilling to one woman as I celebrate every woman here. Sindio, I'm allowed?
Please allow me to get Japolo supporters who are really...
Akishamaliza then...
Yeah, cool. I see Japolo supporters who really want to fight me for not allowing them an opportunity to tell us why nyama kwa nyama. My name is Razia. I am a sexual reproductive health activist. Mimi si supporter wa Japolo. But I'm here to applaud every female in this room. In as much as we are discussing reproductive health matters, remember the power of your mind. Your mind is everything. You can achieve and go beyond, far and beyond anything and everything that you believe in, including bargaining for your sexual reproductive rights and going for what you believe in. What a man can do, you can do and do even better. So take your reproductive health rights into your own hands. Make sure you have information. Do not sit down and say hujui. There is information everywhere, but remember to get information from the right sources. Your reproductive health is your right, and getting the correct information and going about it and seeking it from people who can give you from wherever it is what matters. This information is everywhere. So be empowered and stand up and shine. Do not let anyone or anything put you down for whoever you are or wherever you are. That's it. Girl power. Before I move from this side,
Happy International Women's Day, everyone. I'm Acheng from Kenyatta University, sexual reproductive health activist, and I'm so happy to be here. And I thank all the speakers who are there to champion for this day. Now there are those people who are against us, and this is the question they're asking me. So the question will go to Dr. Responsibility to talk about the bias. Who is there to break the bias? Is it me? Is it you? Is it my father, who is the head of the family? Is it the parliament? Who has the primary responsibility to break the bias? Thank you.
Dr. Odula, because you are the chairperson in the in KMA division, and because I also want to support you in responding to this question, how are you breaking the bias as a medical doctor, as a healthcare provider?
Thank you very much, Acheng. You're a member of ACUMS. Well done, congratulations. These are one of our champions that I think KMA is reaching out to, and that's a very good question. So today is an invitation for all. That's the reason why when our friends up there said today is Women's for Women, today is a day for us all, female members of our society. Let's not shroud this river every month in secrecy. Let's not say cover your breasts. No, they give life. Covering them for what? So long as you're decent. Walk tall, chest, kifua mbele. Break pad nyuma. Hips don't lie. We're here to appreciate everybody and invite you to break those biases. We are inviting you to talk about sex openly. And as my colleague says, age-appropriate discussions at home are important. I know some families, they say, they don't call our gonads by their names. They say kule chini, ama sausage. No. It's a penis, it's a vagina, and I'm scratching in my vagina. Pana uko chini wapi? Because when they come to me in the clinic here, health services, I'm scratching down there. I'm like, down where? Where? I'm looking at your toes. Tell me, my vagina is itchy. Yes, and there's a discharge coming out because I had sexual contact. Did you have sex? Never. He just touched. Now you're not allowing us to have a conversation because you're hiding from me, and I want to help you. So we're inviting us all. Talk to the members of family, talk to each other, even before you start having that sex. See, you had coffee. You didn't talk about condom, ama pills, ama nini, just directly mkadive kwa blanketi, ama dak ali hapana. Let's talk. We're opening up the space. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Odula. She's saying there's nothing like down there. It has a name. So,
okay, is it also good afternoon, everyone? So I have this friend. She's a lady. Let me say, for example, she's at Strathmore University. Help her carry out abortion, October. Then she's pregnant again. I really don't know what to do because she wants another abortion. So what do I do? It's not my girlfriend, just a friend.
See Wake, by the way. Yimi is just a good person. Dr. Kireki, then Dr. Odula. He's not his girlfriend.
I think that disclaimer coming so quickly. It's a good concern that you're having, that your friend, a friend of your friend had an abortion, and now she's pregnant again. So in my mind, I can think one or two things. Number one, she had that abortion. She did not talk to somebody who would have actually educated her and say, look, hii ya kwanza ilikuwa ni makosa. You slipped, you fell. But you are a university student, so you are educated. The top echelon of this country. So there are things which you can do. We are not telling you to stop having sex. No, have sex. Even if we told you to stop having sex, you still have it. So why don't you do it in a way that is safe for you and safe for the other person? There are so many other things that you can do. You can use contraception, all manner of contraception, starting from ile beef on beef hapana, hiyo ya kutoa ati hapana, hiyo haiwezi kufanya kazi. So I think there's a lack of information. That is one. Two, there is also lack of information about the consequences of recurrent. You know, you may think, nitaenda nitatoa tu, and then utatoa again. You remember the story I told you? 3 of them. The former Eastern European countries, the ones that people are talking about now, Russia, you know, Hungary, Bulgaria, and so on and so forth. That used to be, it was used as a method of contraception, quote unquote. And you find guys, ladies who've had 5, 6, you know, abortions and so on. I see on a weekly basis patients who have complications because of that. They had 1, they had 2, and they complicated, they went to Japolo or wherever it was, and then they got infections. Now they want to have a baby, and they can't because the tubes are blocked. They had, you know, STIs, you know, PID, and so on and so forth. So it's a difficult discussion you're going to have with your friend, but it has to be very candid. What does she want to do? Does she want to have that baby? And if she has that baby, of course, there are things, there are consequences that come with it. Babies will make you grow up. And you know, the baby doesn't know kwamba kuna maziwa. No. The baby is hungry, it must be fed. The baby is wet, it must be changed. And that is a resource. Do you have that resource? Well, you don't know. Will your parents support you? And now sometimes here, that is where parents say, you've spoiled our name. How do we support you? And so on. If you have supportive parents, well, they can take the baby and then she can continue going to school. But she needs to know about the consequences of what is going to. Either way, whether she goes for an abortion or whether she decides to have that baby, there are going to be consequences. That is why we are here. Basically to help you and say, guys, look, if you're going to do these things, do them, but do them responsibly and do them in a way that actually can prevent some of these consequences.
I think what Daktari is saying is not going to help her make a decision, but whatever decision she's going to make, it will be informed after all the information we've given you. We are trusting you to give her all the advantages, all the disadvantages, and let her make her own decision. The right to every person making and charting their way out. So we are receiving our snacks, and I think, is it very binding? I am avoiding now the questions so that you can allow us to come here another day. To all of them, we may not continue this partnership. So I will allow the University of Nairobi Traveling Theatre to make their performance. And I will invite before that all the guests to stand here so that we can have a photo. And as we come to the end of the event, a photo, then University of Nairobi Traveling Theatre performance. So our guests, you want to just take to the podium? We're almost there. So enjoy your snacks as we take our photo. UNT team mnaweza to join kwa photo after the guests have taken the photo, then you join us for the next. So fast, the guests for a photo, please.
Traveling theater group.
And the ladies in this house, our president, Dr. Were Onyino, is a plastic surgeon, just for your information.
I'm just saying. I can't say.
Kwani I can't say. I'll allow the guests to take their seats now, and allow me as they take their seats to recognize the work well done by Dr. Kimingich, University Traveling Theatre. University Traveling Theatre, Dr. Kimingich. Asante sana for staying for long hours to have this done. So I think we are coming to the end of this. We continue enjoying our snacks. We continue interacting with the guests. Stay for another performance. But officially, I will come and close.
Hey guys. So I want to sing a song by the name Malaika. I know you know it. Sindio? Acha tu have fun. Hii siku ya wanawake, sindio?
Nashindwa na mali sina.
sina we, ningekuoa malaika. Nashindwa na mali sina we, ningekuoa malaika. Roho yangu kijana mwenzio, nashindwa na mali sina we, kuoa malaika. Nashindwa na mali sina we, kuoa malaika. Kidege nakuwaza kidege, nami nifanyeje? Kijana mwenzio, nashindwa na mali sina we, kuoa malaika. Nashindwa na mali sina we, kuoa malaika. Nakupenda nami nifanyeje? Kijana mwenzio, nashindwa na mali sina we, ningekuoa malaika. Oh.
I'm nervous. There's a lot of you here. We're going to do a live painting. Before we start, I'd like to show you the canvas is totally empty. We're not playing you in any way. And we're going to start now.
Hi guys, as they continue doing it, ladies and gentlemen, today is the day for the moms, a day for the women, a day for all of us, as we've been told. I am Roland Music on all social media platforms, and my performances will be centered around our moms. So I will be singing 2 songs for them, one in English, and the other one is going to be blended in English and my mother tongue Luo. So both of the performances. You might have a mom, she might be the bomb, but ain't nobody got a mom like mine. Her love's till the end, she's my best friend. Ain't nobody got a mom like mine. You might have a mom, she might be the bomb, but ain't nobody got a mom like mine. Her love's till the end, she's my best friend. Ain't nobody got a mom like me. I'm her boy, no matter what. Even when I'm lying, she loving me, loving me, loving me, loving me, love. She loves me like nobody else. I'm telling you, telling you, telling you, telling you all. She taught me how to love myself. yourself, yeah. You might have a mom, she might be the bomb, but ain't nobody got a mom like mine. Her love's till the end, she's my best friend. Ain't nobody got a mom like mine. You might have a mom, she might be the bomb, but ain't nobody got a mom like mine. Her love's till the end, she's my best friend. Ain't nobody got a mom like mine. She my world, she my heart, and there's no denying all the times that I cried. She made me feel better. She loving me, loving me, loving me, loving me, love. She loves me like nobody else. I'm telling you, telling you, telling you, telling you all. She taught me how to love myself, yeah. You might have a mom, you might be the bomb, but ain't nobody got a mom like mine. Her love's till the end, she's my best friend. Ain't nobody. You might have a mom, she might be the bomb, but ain't nobody got a mom like mine. Her love's till the end, she's my best friend. Ain't nobody got a mom like mine. Hey, 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 oh, yeah. Oh, she loves me to the moon and back. That's what she told me every time I'm smiling. Oh, she loves me to the moon and back. She tells me every time we're smiling. She loves me to the moon and back. Oh, she tells me every time smiling. She loves me to the moon and back. Oh, she tells me, yeah, yeah. Mama, I dedicate this song to you. Mama, I dedicate this song to you. Wherever you, I just want to say thank you. Mama, I just sing this song to you. Wherever you day, my mama, I just want to say thank you. Mama, I just sing this song for you. Oh, mama, I just sing this song for you. Wherever you day, my mama, I just want to say thank you for the things you did do for me, for the blessings you rain on me. Sometimes I lose my way, but you still the pray for me, the sacrifice for me. Hey, mama, God bless you, mama. I hear you, my mama. God bless you, mama. Mama, hey, mama. God bless you, mama. I hear you, my mama. God bless you, mama. Mother belly no be easy, but you endure the pain for my sake. No show me fake. Umreni, rolling music, ah Harry, wa Harry, yetindi do to Harry, ah Harry, rolling music, ah Harry, to Harry, yetindi do to Harry, oh mama, God bless you, mama, ah Harry, my mama. God bless you, mama, mama, hey, mama. God bless you, mama. I hear my mama. the blessings you rain on me. Sometimes I lose my way, but you still the pray for me, the sacrifice for me. Yeah, mama, God bless you, mama. Hey, my mama, God bless you, mama. Mama, hey, mama, God bless you, mama. Hey, my mama, God bless you, mama. Mama, hey.
Hello guys. Mumeshiba? Mumeshiba? So naweza wasimamisha to dance? Naweza wasimamisha? There is this song inaitwa Nadina. Sawa? Nadina yo, Nadina yo yo. Nadina yo, Nadina yo. Tumuombe Mungu Baba atuhurumie dhambi zetu mama. Oh Nadina yo, Nadina yo. Nadina yo, Nadina yo. Tumuombe Mungu Baba atuhurumie dhambi zetu mama. If you know this song, simama na mimi. Nadina yo, Nadina yo. Nadina yo, Nadina yo. Tumuombe Mungu Baba atuhurumie dhambi zetu mama. Hata wewe mwenye dhambi rudisha roho nyuma. Hata wewe ni wa shetani jua yule alikuumba. Tumsifu Mungu Baba hata mara moja huduma. Hata wewe mwenye dhambi rudisha roho nyuma. Hata wewe ni wa shetani jua yule alikuumba. Tumsifu Mungu Baba hata mara moja huduma. Hata wewe mwenye dhambi rudisha roho nyuma. Hata wewe ni wa shetani kumbuka yule alikuumba. Tumsifu Mungu Baba hata mara moja huduma. Tumsifu Mungu Baba hata mara moja huduma. Afro mama mtoto wa Sagana mama. Salamu zangu na kutumia popote ulipozipokee. Usalimie ndugu na wazazi wako mamae popote walipo. Afro mimi si jambo lakini mawazo tele moyoni. Nina wasiwasi nikikumbuka tulivyo uliniahidi. Afro tungeonana mapema, siku zinapita bibie, mbona sikuoni mama. Afro mama Sagana kumbuke penzi ugeuka leo kwangu kesho kwako mama utanikumbuka Afro Kirinyaga Sagana, usiniweke pembeni mama, ingawa wako wengi mami, lakini nimekuchagua wewe. Tabia zako sawa na sura yako, nimeridhika kwa wewe. Unipeleke mama, ukawaone wazazi wangu, na sasa na unipeleke ukawaone baba na mama. Mengi mimi sisemi mami, uamuzi na kuachia wewe. Mwisho na kuombea salama hapo, mpaka siku tutaponana. Ai, oh, yeah, oh, yeah. Afua Kirinyaga Sagana, usiniweke pembeni mama, ingawa wengi wazuri mami, nami nimekuchagua wewe. Tabia zako sawa na sura yako, nimeridhika kuwa na wewe. Kizuri unipeleke mama, unipeleke mami, tukawaone baba na mama. Mengi mimi sisemi mami, uamuzi na kuachia wewe. Mwisho na kuombea salama afya, mpaka siku tutaponana. Mpaka siku tutaponana. Watoto wamekimbia, tabia zako zimesha kupaza mke na watoto wamekimbia. Tulikukanya, chunga heshima yako, mke na watoto wako nyumbani, ndio hazina ya maisha yako. Amigo, amigo, wakati tunakupa ushauri uliona sisi watu fitina, twaingilia mambo yako ya ndani, ya kwamba tukwache kama ulivyo, sababu wewe bingwa wa maisha. Amigo, amigo, thamani ya mke ni mavazi, kula vizuri, kulala vizuri go. Watoto wako wapeleke shule kwa manufaa yao ya baadaye. Elimu ndiyo zawadi muhimu kwa watoto wako amigo. Thamani ya mke ni mavazi, kula vizuri, kulala vizuri, ndiyo siri ya kudumisha ndoa, mtaishi kwa raha amigo. Watoto wako wapeleke shule kwa manufaa yao ya baadaye. Elimu ndiyo zawadi muhimu kwa watoto wako amigo. Majirani marafiki tulishakanya sana amigo. Heshimu mke na watoto wako. Heshimu baba na mama nyumbani. Na wakwe zako uwape heshima. Shemeji zako pia waheshimu. Tukawa sisi wabaya kwako. Shauri wetu hauna maana. Tukwache kama ulivyo amigo. Sababu wewe ni bingwa wa maisha. Mahari umeshalipa amigo. Mkeo huna habari naye. Na leo yamekufika mambo. Ubingwa wako na mke amekukimbia Majirani na rafiki tulishakukanya sana amigo. Heshimu mke na watoto wako. Heshimu baba na mama nyumbani. Na wakwe zako wape heshima. Shemeji zako pia waheshimu. Tukawa sisi wabaya kwako. Shauri wetu hauna maana. Tukwache kama ulivyo amigo. Sababu wewe ni bingwa wa maisha. Mahari umeshalipa amigo. Mkeo huna habari naye. Na leo yamekufika mambo. Ubingwa wako na mke amekukimbia
Yeah. Okay. When you see love makes you do crazy things. Nasema as my shoes. Uliza. And what I went through to buy you those rings. Nasema as my shoes. Uliza kiatu. Nagaderi ninavyokatafuna eti ndo kule baga pizza uliza kiatu. Nasema as my shoes. As my shoes. Uliza kiatu. Uliza kiatu. Nasema as my shoes. As my shoes. Uliza kiatu. Uliza kiatu. Okay, nimekopa nikupe, kumbe wewe ndo kupe. Nang'ang'ana ndo tule juhudi zangu bure. I heard that love should always make us strong. But now I feel that things that they were wrong. Ask me why. Nasema tax me nilipe, rent me nikupe. Nywele zisonge Mombasa sitwende mapenzi nikupe. Paka wewe uridhike. Nasema tax me nilipe, rent me nikupe. Nywele zisonge Mombasa sitwende mapenzi nikupe. Paka wewe uridhike. As my shoes. Uliza kiatu. Uliza kiatu. Nasema as my shoes. As my shoes. Uliza kiatu. Uliza nini? Uliza kiatu. Nasema as my shoes.
Yeah. Oh, Susanna, I hope you're happy now. I'm seeing you flexing on the ground with your sponsor. Susanna, I hope you're happy now. I see you change your skin color and your hair is longer now. Nakuona Brazil, hapo kando Champs-Elysees, ukitesa na kamilie, nano my business. Then I see you in London, silicone on your bum bum, shaking what your doctor gave you. On your worst behavior, Susanna Bande. Hello, hello, hello. If you get to hear this song, somebody loves you. Susanna Bande. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, somebody loves you. Mwanamke tabia, shepu ni majaliwa, ila wengi walinyimwa tabia, shepu kabarikiwa. Mwanamume hisia, pesa ni majaliwa, ila wengi walinyimwa hisia, na pesa kabarikiwa. Na kuona Brazil, hapo Rio de Janeiro, ukiongezewa nywele senje, nano my business. Then I see you in China with the latest designer, shaking what your doctor gave you. On your worst behavior, Susanna Bande. Oh, yo, yo. Hello, hello, hello.
Back home, somebody loves you.
Susanna Bande. Oh, yo, yo. Hello, hello, hello. Loves you. Woo.
Wewe